What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's TV review of Snowpiercer Season 4, Episode 4, which is called North Star. It is once again directed by Leslie Hope. Okay, guys, the episode was definitely a marked improvement. Doesn't mean it has been a very good season, but it has definitely improved upon the last two episodes. That isn't saying much, unfortunately, but this episode is how do we get to the halfway point of the series. We have one more episode to go, which I'm assuming, if I've heard right or seen right, is going to introduce Wilford again. Maybe, of course, Melanie. It's not entirely sure, but now that Layton and the crew have Big Alice, they are approaching Snowpiercer. Milius basically wants them to connect to one another so he can use Big Alice. He also has a plan to kill Layton, and I mean, it's standard stuff for a bad guy and a good guy to, go to war in a lot of respects. But of course, the crew has other ideas with like Ruth and Alex and stuff like that to get on the train, cause a little bit of strife, go look for Leona, and keep Milius under bay so that they can escape with the young child. Well, Milius, being the non-idiot that he is, well, we'll see how much of an idiot he truly is, can kind of see through the guys once he realizes that they're playing him. It's fine. To be fairly honest, Layton's able to get on Snowpiercer with the help of Dr. Pelton. They're looking for Leona. They're having to go underground. So when, of course, Layton meets Nema and explains that, they were the cause for why they're able to live in New Eden. It's standard getting close to the end stuff type of thing where we're getting into the meat of the story, and it's just like, I guess maybe I just was bored by the episode more than anything. I didn't really hate it, but I had to go back a couple times because this is an episode that expects you to know things that haven't been truly properly presented, and that is unfortunately a problem of the writer and staff. I don't think they've clearly mapped this season out very well, and when you're watching it, you're like, okay, cool, Milius is playing along with them. Of course, Layton and Josie are going on board. She, of course, is gonna see her son, and with the help, and she's gonna help Till escape, and it's pretty standard stuff, to be fairly honest. I was just not really that impressed. Just watching it, just I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was because they were given the ultimatum to finish up a season, that maybe they had another plan for a fifth season. It's all up in the air. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The fact that Milius will be this stupid but also be smart, and he just makes these weird choices, and he has Miles who can operate the train, but he doesn't feel he's doing a very good job, so he takes him off and puts Bennett back on the task. He makes, of course, because he knows Layton and Josie are on the train, makes him follow quickly behind them. He will trade Big Alice for Leona because he's obviously taking the young kid, but it's just like, okay, sure, whatever. When Nema starts talking about how he did this and this and this, how he's trying to use Snowpiercer to cause the ability for more rockets to go off. And then, of course, he realizes that, what Milius is doing is wrong, but he is taken hostage or not taken hostage, he's taken prisoner by one of the, one of the men that Milius runs. And he somehow is able to poison the guy because the guy is suffering. And I was kind of laughing, to be honest. It was just so stupid. I feel bad for the guy who's playing Nema. It's just not a very fun, interesting character, to be fairly honest. He's supposed to be this like botanist, like guy who's dealing with chemicals and stuff like that, and he just doesn't feel very well thought out. He doesn't feel very excited or interesting, I guess you could say. It almost feels like they just need a character in there to replace, Jennifer Connelly while she's off doing something else, another TV series or something like that. I don't entirely know. It's oh God. This series it's gone so far downhill. It's not even interesting anymore. It's, of course, Josie finds Miles and she hugs him, but not before she sends Bess to take her off and take him off to, escape from where he's at right now because he's been taken off in Snowpiercer. Of course, Josie gets taken and she's given the ultimatum, and It's like, twirling, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I did like how Bess is very defiant against one of the guards. He's like, oh, you're not getting a water break. So I don't care. I don't want a water break, blah, 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 blah. And of course, she's, in love with Audrey. So that's whole situation. We're about ready to talk about the other stuff. But it's all leading to what the next 5 episodes will be, which is the real idea behind what Milius's plan is. I have a feeling that it's going to involve Wilford because it's so obvious. They're not even hiding it anymore. They don't say Wilford, but they're just not hiding the fact that Milius is working for another entity. Obviously, I mean, it was from the very beginning. You kind of figured that was going to happen. As you can see, once again, I'm struggling to have any enthusiasm for this show and what it's trying to do. I'm having, the excitement for what I had after the 3rd season is almost completely gone. I don't even think Sean Bean, whenever he comes back, is going to be able to save any part of this season. And it's such a shame because, this is the last season. It's the conclusion to this series, and it's not giving us anything interesting at all. I think it's interesting in the simple fact that, like, they are on Snowpiercer again. They are trying to save people. I did like the fact that they go into the car where everybody's working as slaves, basically, and that's where Layton is taken away by one of Pelton's people, and the people in the car are like, "Are you gonna save us?" And Layton's like, "I'm just kind of here for my daughter. I'll save you, but I gotta find my daughter first," which is kind of his MO for this point. He's very one-minded, one-track, but I understand because he has a daughter and stuff like that, a child, that he wants to go save his child. And it's not really surprising after all the time that Millie said he didn't have the child, he actually has a child, because clearly the people that took his child were the ones that were working under Milius. So it's kind of like, we saw that coming, to be fairly honest. That's kind of where that lies, to be fairly honest. We do see some flashback stuff with Josie as they were on the train back in the earlier seasons with, like, somebody dying. I think it was Miles' father or something like that. And this is where Layton and kind of, Josie start developing a relationship and stuff like that as the father's dying. But that's pretty much it on that side. That's kind of the major stuff. Once again, Big Alice has to follow quickly behind Snowpiercer. They're leading to a different track. Clearly, as Ruth says, they're going to the belly of the beast. I do kind of like the stuff where Ruth is trying to keep Milius at bay so that Layton can do. I like that Layton has to crawl on top of the train, and Pelton sees them on in the back car there on top of the train. That's how she knows they're there, and it's a fun little moment, but it's just not enough to carry the episode. But the kind of thing that really downturns this episode and really kind of makes it lesser than what it should be is the stuff in New Eden. Clearly, they're in a point where that we all knew was going to happen, that there was going to be some kind of storm, or there was going to be something that was going to cause a rift, and they don't have enough time, and hopefully Big Al can come back before they freeze to death or whatever's going to happen, because their energy is going to dissipate, which is something that I saw coming from a million miles away. It's like you have to throw some kind of drama instead of just having New Eden just be kind of New Eden. It's typical storytelling, and it basically leads to Roche is trying to keep everything in check. He's trying to keep with his daughter in check. Everything's just kind of falling under collapse because, of course, Layton, who is the worst leader of all time, is just not there. So things are just not going very well. Storm's coming in, and of course, Oz comes down from his holy mountain that he keeps hearing voices at, and here we have him bringing down a severed hand that's been frozen. Okay, that's an interesting mystery. It's an interesting idea. What it could mean, maybe it's not. Maybe Nima's plan. Which actually, I gotta say something. Nima being told to do 20 push-ups was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. Not in a good way, because I'm like, are they gonna kill him if he doesn't do the 20 push-ups? It's so laughable. I was like, oh my god, this is just okay. Anyways, whatever. That's so bad. But in essence, what is this hand? What does it belong to? It's been frozen. Is that a bad sign for New Eden? Once again, that's an interesting idea. And then, of course, Javi, and I think it's Sykes is the one that works with Javi. They're like good friends or whatever. She and he determined that the severed hand, belongs to someone in New Eden. Okay. What does that mean? What does that say? And then Roche and Oz go up into the mountains, which is always a good idea. And Oz keeps hearing voices. I'm assuming this is LJ's voice. I don't know. But then Roche has just kind of disappeared. Like, this whole New Eden stuff is just, it's so weird. I really wanted this New Eden stuff to be more interesting than it is. But now Roche has disappeared and Oz is by himself. Oz has already proven himself to be kind of insane. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. There's a frozen hand, and it's just like, oh God. I'm going to continue the season because I've done every other episode, but I'm just struggling to find any interest in what they're doing. It's like, you could have told a much more interesting story. Like, Nima could have been a much more interesting character, and, you know, Milius could have been a much more interesting degree of a character, and Layton could be much more interesting. But it's just falling back into the tropes that plagues Snowpiercer from like every episode. And I can see why people don't really kind of connect to the show anymore, or really haven't connected to the show since the first season, because you're repeating the basics over and over and over, and it's just not very fun anymore. And I guarantee you, when Wilford comes in, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to help anything. It's going to be another, how do we stop Wilford? And I'm sure they're going to do the one thing, he's going to die or something's going to happen. But to be fairly honest, they should have just left Wilford alone. He was already done. His character arc felt like it was finished. And here he is, probably going to come back in the next episode for all I know. And, you know, once again, there's too much. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many characters in the pot. There's too many storylines that are just kind of going all over the place, you know, that are not connecting to anything. And it's not very good, to be fairly honest. I'm just so frustrated with it. But once again, it is a much better episode. It's not saying much for the compared to the last two episodes. I'm just not finding it very interesting. I'm not, you know, looking forward to it from week to week like I was before. And that's kind of where I lie on Snowpiercer season 4 in general, not just episode 4. So I don't blame Leslie Hope. She's just the director. I think she does a competent job. But you can tell that they've kind of spinning the wheels so they can get the last few episodes. And maybe the last few episodes will be good. I mean, people say it's not good, but maybe there's a hope that watching it week by week kind of changes those things. But overall, not really excited by this episode. Definitely not the worst one of the season, but definitely not good. So overall, my score, I'll give it a 7 out of 10, just to be generous. I would probably go like a 6.5, but I think 7, just because it is markedly better than the last episode. So 7 out of 10 for Snowpiercer season 4, episode 4, which is called North Star, which I know Josie says the title in the very beginning, but I still don't understand the titles of any of these. I've never understood the titles of any of these episodes. I just think they're very cheap, very crappy titles. So anyways, yeah, that's my take on Snowpiercer season 4, episode 4, called North Star. So with that said, comments below. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like. All that good stuff. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see on the channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell. Top the fun's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And we'll see you guys for next week's episode of Snowpiercer. Peace, guys.